These videos are intended to be a supplement to the assembly manual provided with your product. Please be sure to read your assembly manual thoroughly before beginning assembly, as it contains important safety warning and assembly tips. Step 1. Before beginning assembly, please open all boxes and confirm that all parts necessary for assembly are present. The following tools will be needed to complete assembly but are not included with the product. Number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, 10mm wrench, 13mm wrench, scissors or box cutter. Step 2. Use the pre-installed hardware to attach the transport handle to the base assembly using the 5mm Allen wrench. Step 3. To attach the treadle assembly on the base assembly, first roll the treadle assembly onto the base assembly, being careful not to crimp the I/O cable. This may require 2 people. Then secure the treadle assembly to the base assembly using the 4 13mm bolts and corresponding washers. Then cut the shipping strap at the front of the treadles. Step 4. To install the side covers, you will need 6 self-tapping screws and 4 M4 bolts and washers. Do not fully tighten hardware to ensure that all hardware lines up with its corresponding hole. Tightening hardware prematurely may lead to misalignment. Once properly in place, tighten all hardware. Step 5. Now attach the pivot covers to the treadle assembly using the appropriate hardware and spacers. Step 6. For the next step, we will need to run the I/O cable through the base assembly. To do this, first run the I/O cable into the side opening of the base assembly. Now, attach the I/O cable to the bottom of the wire that has been pre-strung through the base assembly. Then, carefully pull the wire with the I/O cable attached all the way through the base assembly. Step 7. First, thread the I/O cable through the right junction cover and connect it to the console assembly. Now set the left junction cover in place. Next, thread the I/O cable through the upright using the pre-installed wire. Finally, connect the console to the uprights one at a time using the appropriate hardware. Step 8. Connect the I/O cable from the console to the I/O cable from the base. Step 9. 2 people are recommended for this step. Lift the console and upright assembly and slide the brackets at the base of the uprights into the base assembly. Be very careful not to crimp or cut the I/O cables during this step. Once firmly seated in the base, use 10 5mm button head screws and corresponding washers to secure the uprights to the base assembly. Step 10. To install the cylinders, first attach them to the treadles using the pre-installed hardware, making sure that the settings dial on the cylinders are up with the white arrow to the inside of the machine. Then lift each treadle so that the cylinder can be attached to the corresponding upright. Step 11. Attach the motor cover to the base assembly. Make sure that the safety tabs are properly secured below the frame of the treadle assembly. Step 12. Secure the motor cover from the back of the machine using 2 self-tapping screws. Do not use an electric drill for this, as it may strip the screws. Step 13. Now, use the appropriate hardware to attach the rear cover to the treadle assembly. Be sure the safety tabs on the upper inside of the rear cover snap onto the base assembly. Step 14. Plug in your machine. The TC20 TreadClimber fitness machine is designed to plug directly into a properly wired and grounded 3-prong 120-volt outlet. If you connect the machine to an outlet with GFI or AFI machine operation, it may cause the circuit to trip. Step 15. Finally, carefully inspect your machine to ensure that all fasteners are tight and components are properly assembled. Level the machine using the leveling feet if necessary. Do not use until the machine has been fully assembled and inspected for correct performance in accordance with the owner's manual.